go, everyone, with the Forward Knicks Post Game show tonight against Utah. Julius Randle, excellent game, 32 points and 11 rebounds. Knicks were within 3 in the third quarter, but then Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz pulled away. The Westchester County native went for 23. The Jazz beat the Knicks 112-104. Knicks crowd filing home after seeing the Knicks winning streak ended at 2 in a row in the victory column. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pito, Alan Hanawali, Zerbiak. You're the stat guy. Okay, we talked about the Jazz in the pregame show. Top three-point shooting team in the league, yet they only go 10 for 36 tonight. Points in the paint were equal. Rebounding was to the Knicks' advantage. How'd they lose this game?
Points in the paint weren't even equal. They dominated them in the paint, actually. They got 62 points in the paint, the Knicks did, so that was their game plan, attack in the paint. Sometimes that's what happens, though. Remember, this is an 8-point final, but they were down by 21 in the fourth quarter. That's where you look at the stats. When it was 21, the Knicks pushed back late in the game and didn't let it become a blowout. But that's how some of these games go. I felt like the starters for the Jazz really dominated the Knicks starters early in the game, set the tone. The bench played better in the second quarter, as we've seen now lately, but then the third quarter came around and it flipped. The starters got that game to within 3. The bench wasn't able to hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, this team has another gear. Utah does. Yeah. They really do. And the Knicks fought hard. I thought they had great effort in that third quarter to cut it to a 3-point game coming right off the halftime break. But then the Jazz just have an explosive offense. I mean, they can be very efficient. If you guard the 3-point lines and you got Gobert rolling to the basket, dominating the interior, I think not having Mitchell Robinson defending the paint was big for this Knicks team, because at least he's a presence around the basket where he makes, when those guards go in there to get their layups and try to finish, he makes it tough to finish around a big guy that can block shots. So not having him was a problem. But I agree. You know, you look at the way the Knicks played. They had good performances by Elfrid Payton had 20, and Bobby Portis had 19 in the first half, 21 for the game, and Julius Randle led all scorers with 32. So they had guys who brought it, but they didn't have enough help. With those 3 guys around them, I thought that was the difference.
Yeah, 35 points you allow in the first quarter is you know, that's the part of it right there. They had that early part of the game where the starters were just getting outplayed. They turned the ball over a lot.
They allowed 26 in the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's to me that's what you're catching up the rest of the game.
They have 26 points halfway through the first quarter.
Amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, Jazz were ready to play.
Yeah, it happened, and you're absolutely right about that. They were definitely ready to play.
Knicks actually got down by 17 in that first quarter. Mm-hmm. Third quarter, as I mentioned, they were within 3, and then they got blown out. So sometimes we have that third quarter of Zoom. Sometimes we have the third quarter of Doom. Tonight, Wally and I, we had third quarter of both.
It was kind of both, right? But you know, Wally and I, when we were walking back after doing halftime over at the Garden, that's what we were looking at the monitors as we were walking through. And we wanted to see how are they going to come out. And you and I both were pleasantly surprised to see the first cutting it to 3 was 66-63 and maintain that for several buckets till about 7.5 to go in the quarter.
Yeah, but then Donovan Mitchell started to take over, and they got stops. And when they get stops, they can just really turn the
pickup Bojan has been, huh? I mean,
Bojan's been a big-time pickup. 20-point-per-game scorer, very efficient. That was part of an 11-2 run, which then extended the lead up to 12. And then the Knicks, I thought, were going to kind of fight, make it a closer game and start the fourth quarter. But the Jazz are very deep. I mean, you look at their team. They pushed Joe Ingles, who's a really good player, and he's their 6th man. I mean, this is how much talent this Jazz team has. A guy like Moutier last year, who was big for the Knicks, you know, he doesn't even play. You know, he wasn't even in the game until garbage time, pretty much. So you look at how much talent this Jazz team has. Quinn Snyder has a lot of options, and those guys brought it in that second half.
It's the question about them, too, in the West, when you look at all the different teams that are there. And we always talk about the L.A. teams and maybe Houston because of 2 MVPs. But I look at Utah and I look at Denver as the type of teams that you're curious about what can they do in a postseason, in a series, because they do a ton of winning, but we never talk about them as contenders.
No, and they're not as star-driven. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's a star, but you don't put him up there with LeBron, Anthony Davis, Paul George yet, and Kawhi Leonard. And the West, I mean, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's getting to that point. Yeah. He might be a superstar like those guys, but those are, you know, 8 of the top 10 players in the league, pretty much. And they're all out West, all in the top 4 teams. So the West is no easy pickings, and that's why this Jazz team, they're 5th in the West, and you look at how good they are offensively. They're one of the most efficient teams in the league, and they're still 5th in the West. That's how good the West is.